House of Cards, Kenya's housing crisis, Kenya, land of breathtaking safaris, cradle of humanity, and unfortunately, home to a massive housing crisis. Millions are crammed into slums. They lack basic sanitation and safe water. The government promised a solution, an ambitious, affordable housing project. Sounds great, right? Well, buckle up, folks, because this is a story about good intentions paved with something far less noble. Bad policy, potential corruption, and a whole lot of question marks. The government claims it wants to build affordable homes. They say they'll lift people out of poverty. But as we dig deeper, a different picture emerges. One where the lines between helping the people and helping those in power start to get very, very blurry. Wall Street on the Savannah, financial sector dominance. So, who's really calling the shots in this housing project? Hint, it's not the families living in overcrowded shacks. No, my friends, it's the financial sector, rubbing their hands together with glee. They're the ones providing loans, managing funds, and let's be honest, probably writing the rules to benefit themselves. This isn't just about building houses. It's about creating a massive new market for financial products. Mortgages, loans, insurance, you name it. And when the financial sector gets involved, well, let's just say their definition of affordable might be a tad different than yours or mine. The levy. Taxing the poor, housing the rich. Now, to pay for all this affordable housing, the government introduced a mandatory housing levy. Every Kenyan worker has to cough up 1.5% of their salary. Sounds fair, right? Except when you realize that most Kenyans can barely afford basic necessities. So, we're essentially asking the poorest Kenyans to subsidize housing they'll never be able to afford. Meanwhile, the wealthy elite, the ones who actually can afford these new homes, they get to sit back and reap the benefits. It's like Robin Hood decided to take from the poor and give himself a nice little vacation home. Houses for who? The affordability crisis. Let's talk about the houses themselves for a second. The government promised affordable units, but guess what? The cheapest ones still cost around $40,000. That's more than 10 years' salary for the average Kenyan. So, who are these houses actually for? Certainly not the millions living in slums. No, it seems like they're building luxury apartments for the middle and upper classes, all while using the guise of affordable housing to justify their actions. Section 5. Land grabs and empty promises. And where are they building these homes, you ask? Good question. The government promised to buy land for the projects, but so far, they've acquired very little. Instead, rumors are swirling about land grabs, displacing communities, prioritizing politically connected developers. It's starting to look a lot like the government is using this housing project as a way to seize valuable land, not to house the poor, but to line the pockets of the already wealthy. Section 6. Foreign investors, saviors, or speculators. And who do you think is lining up to invest in these projects? That's right, foreign investors. Now, don't get me wrong, foreign investment can be a good thing. But when it comes to housing, it often leads to speculation and inflated prices. Foreign buyers scoop up properties as investments, driving up prices for everyone else. So, not only are these affordable homes out of reach for most Kenyans, but they're also contributing to a housing bubble that could burst at any moment. Section 7. Mismanagement and misplaced funds. A 20 billion shilling question. And then there's the small matter of the missing money. Remember that mandatory housing levy? Well, it turns out the government invested 20 billion shillings of it in government securities. That's right. They took money from people who desperately need housing and used it to buy government debt. It's enough to make your head spin. It's incompetence at best, and at worst, well, let's just say it wouldn't be the first time a government used public funds for personal gain. Section 8. A recipe for disaster. Why Kenya's housing project is doomed. So, there you have it. Kenya's housing project, a textbook example of how not to solve a crisis. It's a toxic cocktail of financial sector greed, government incompetence, and a healthy dose of potential corruption. This isn't about providing affordable housing. It's about enriching the few at the expense of the many. It's about exploiting a crisis for personal gain. And unless something changes drastically and fast, this house of cards is going to come crashing down, leaving millions of Kenyans even further behind.